evening, and good afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter. And I have a fiscal rant for y'all. So, we're running with Pluto kind of closing at the top of the mountain in Capricorn. Said, I got something to arrange here at the top of the pyramid. What are you going to do? I'm going to knock the pyramid off, which is what you have to do. Okay, if you think about the journey through Capricorn, you climb to the mountain so that you can destroy the fucking mountain. Okay, you climb to the top because you know what you had to do to get there. You must destroy it and then bring our days, okay, into the golden ages, into Aquarius. This is going from the Saturn of you gotta do what you gotta do to the Saturn of now that I came all this far, I can bring in enlightenment, not by torturing people, not by raping people, not by harassing people, but by understanding that all the places that I got, I could have gotten with love, and with the structure that going to allow me that, I need to destroy for this structure. Okay, that's Pluto's job right now. So I got a financial run for you. I just saw what made me press record. I always like to say that. What made me press record was a short of a woman. She said, I teach my children about money. Give them money in the beginning of the month, and then I charge them $1. And then I say to them, they have to save so and so money. And then at the end of the month, or the end of the year, they can spend 20% of that money. And she made it so beautiful, packed in into the radio and whatnot, and gave her a very harsh response. I gave her a very harsh response because that thing she does, nobody taught me how to do this. I was doing this when I was a child. Nobody taught me how to do this. I was doing this myself. All the practices that you learn about money, I was practicing them myself. Okay, I don't know where I got it from. I don't think I was particularly wealthy in past life or something like that. Not fiscally. But I thought of wealth very directly. Okay? Going to grow with that tree with love. Money grows on trees. Money does grow on trees. But why is she setting her children up is something that we need to understand, because your children are going to grow to do this. They're going to grow to have good values. Maybe to be hardworking, but not just hardworking, but the working of giving value, providing value to people, and grow their assets. What you're setting yourself up is that your hardworking children are going to have a family. It's going to be financial crisis. They don't even know what the money's made of, which is children's corpses, raped, tortured, traded on tape. When your children are not of age that you cannot tell them this yet, don't teach them nothing about money. Or tend to the fucking economy. Because your 401k, your boly-colies, your life insurance, and your tax evasion to beat the inflation is invested in these dead corpses. Why is the 8th house in astrology considered house of betrayal? I touch on that. There's no reason for after people marry, they share assets, they share wealth. Okay? The act of having good, willing, consensual sex. Okay? You share your fluids with each other, you share energies with each other. You orgasm. Okay? Why you orgasm? Because it's not betrayal, because it's pure. It balances your nervous system. It curates You would not enjoy having sex if eighth house would not mean essentially union. But the only thing is that the cults of division that are made by extortion, what you call the trust, is made by extortion, by betrayal. And extortion is possible when there are raped, tortured children on tape. And who would do such a thing like that? Well, a raped, tortured child that was not murdered because they managed to murder. They're your leaders, they're your musicians, they're the hidden and visible decision makers because they grew into the cult. That's why when people marry, they go to the eighth house house of betrayal, trauma, this, that, because that's your economy. If your children not of age, do not teach them a thing about money, because you're setting yourself up. What happens in financial crisis? Good, hard-working people that somehow managed to, I don't know, the bodies were numb, or I really don't know, okay? Because I didn't manage within the system. And I didn't manage because I chose time and time again for the naive choice not to perpetuate abuse, because I wanted to be of true wealth, to actually see what the value I can provide and then be fairly compensated for and have dividends. Okay, I grew up thinking about wealth as setting up the stage for the generations. This is why I say money grows on trees. That's the air in your lungs. That's the forest to which my grandfather escaped even to the Holocaust. Any other way there are many ways to create value. Any way to control this or to this is, how should I say this, is undermining wealth and undermining the marriages and undermining everything, and it's essentially undermining power. And that's what Pluto in Capricorn reminds of people. But you gotta make sure that you are inclusive. This is the square with Aries. Aries reminds us that we take a lot of things for granted. Our ability to work, our financial stability, we take a lot of things for granted. And there are people sitting outside of the table that we don't include because we expect them to be, but like this woman teaches her children, if you're not aware that when your child cannot operate like this, it's not because they're lazy, it's not because they got bad qualities, because it's not even necessarily because something bad happened to them, mainly, yes, but their body is like a seismograph. And it sends the ties, and it can't do that. When I have to be honest with you, because when I tell you I was working for credit card company, I said, I cannot do this, I cannot do this. I said, you say it's choice, Jupiter. Yeah, no. Well, my body physically, my body couldn't do this. I became sick. And I had to think why I'm sick, because no cure would help. And then I found out, oh, there's a fraud. And I said, well, I don't like that. So yes, indeed, cognitively, I didn't want to do it. What gave me the power to walk out? My body couldn't do it. What gave me the power to speak? I had to stay in my body. So I'm humbled because I know if a person is not in a situation where the body operates like my body, they don't see it, they don't connect to their disease. The diseases in life to these circumstances in life, and probably find it difficult because they know they're going to have to act. And when they know the act, you've seen me, you've seen what I've been dealing with a little bit. So they're in denial. They're in this, they're in that, it's dissociation. And when you teach your children, you're gonna go straight, you're gonna think straight, you're gonna act straight. Comes a financial crisis, the banks, they make an interest influx. Then the working sector changes. There's inflation. Then they can't beat it. The bank take the house. What does a hard-working person does? They murder themselves, the family, the children, so they don't go into human trafficking. And it's the moral thing to do. You haven't tended to that. Don't start teaching your children about saving money, because they're going to feel a failure if they do sense it like I sense it. They're going to feel a failure. Or they're going to be numb. They managed to save, then all what they did, the savings, not worthy. Why? Because there's inflation. This 20% that bought us. Okay, so another short, a very beautiful short, 2000, I don't remember what the year was. I think 2010, a person goes with $1. He comes up with a bottle with a couple of snakes, with a this, with a that. Today, a person goes with $1. They come up with one snack. It's like snake meat. Okay, one snack. The snake shed its own skin. We're gonna have wealth, but right now it's skinless and vulnerable. And that's where you want to snack the most. You got the money. This is man-made. But they talk about this very artificial man-made system, which is okay. Technology is okay. We are part of nature. Your house, even if you build it from sand, is a technology. But we talk about this technology like it's nature-made, not man-made, and we have invisible hand and we shouldn't touch it. This is engineering. The very first currency is engineering, and engineering we always need to tend to, because there are always things we have to adapt. And it's also the nature of nature itself. If we made currency, we have to fit our system. This is why when I'm going to do financial astrology, but not financial expenses astrology. It's a big word, financial astrology, for this. But when I do expenses astrology and I see like a hard Neptune aspect, a hard Uranus aspect from the wealth planets, okay, from Mercury, trade, Venus, values and possessions, but also sense of connection, Moon, emotional, but also assets and real estate and homes. Mars, definitely real estate. Money moves, very literal. Let's say a hard aspect to the outer planets, especially to Neptune, especially to Uranus. I know expenses are coming up. And whatever the fate is, it's not about we'll try not to do that, because how you gonna practice your money without moving money? You're going to be expecting, like this mother, you charge to $1, then you save the $5, they become a $20. What about inflation? What about the money moves? What about the people play unfairly? You're setting them up. And the more that this thing is going to work for them, because for a while it's going to work for them. First of all, they tend to money, they're going to have success. Whatever you do, you tend to money. I say, even when I go, and just the fact that I tend to these things, I could go without money, could go to the mall. Somebody ate their dinner, they ate one bite, they forgot this, they left it on the table. Got a full nourishing food. Just don't eat that bite. Full nourishing meal. Why? Because I tend to money, because I actually tend to that. I tend to food. when I when I receive my money, I know I have challenges with safety of my food, then immediately I give food charity, even if I'm not gonna have, because this one meal that I give homeless, or this is not going to change for the large picture of me. It's not, I'm not going to not starve because of it, and I'm not going to starve because of it. And then I find food. It's energy. It's how you make the energy move. You gotta teach your children that. Then they can make a brave moves. And they can make braver and braver decisions. We got leverage. And leverage is a body, mind, and soul state. It's not just the money state. Because currency changes. We got great business person, Elon Musk. Okay? He's doing everything right. Everything right, even thanks to the currency. Everything right from within the system in which we operate. Now see the currency changes coming. But Elon is not stupid. But the energy, they can live off. If they can take this, okay, they can live off of like I live. So if they deal with that, the currency changes. The limitation on your platform, the this, the that. You either comply with us, okay, the destruction of humanity, even more, or we're gonna ruin your entire empire. And he's building a country. Why is he building a country? Because you have to build a country if you want to get out of it, but you don't want to be Muammar Gaddafi either. Just try to maneuver for this, for that. He grew up in the cults. You're very likely you're going to find it with all the scandals. You find Trump, you find Biden, all of these. Same. Okay? When I talk about the business skills. Because we have been eluding our generations. It's not, parents don't do it from bad intention. It worked for them for a while. You were the Pluto generations, the Neptune generations that it worked for a while. Okay? But because you set your children up like this, and we're not in these times right now, then they are going to hold values that are not valid to the world we're living in. And this is okay to have these values and to know that we are at the brinks of the changes of time, that we are bringing this wealth to the world. We are. This is why we are here. But if they don't know that they are meant to bring true wealth to the world, to generate true wealth from a situation where people don't get true wealth, but they get control, they get trauma, they get archaic methods of dealing with the planet. If they think that the world is already correct, you setting themselves for a disillusionment after they've invested. And not only that, before the disillusionment, stuff is going to work just because they tend to money. Stuff is going to work for them for a while. And then somebody like me comes, why don't you go to work? Why'd you have to get this food? Why don't you go to work? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do? Because I'm doing entrepreneurship. What kind of entrepreneurship? You're doing something new and you have the words to say what you're doing. You're no longer doing something new. You're already being successful. I'm in the process. they won't understand that, because they'll know I have something new. I go to work. They know one path, and this path is setting up for failure, but there is Neptune times between failures, so at least 2 decades that is going to work, and then one sudden year it's not going to work, and all the people they've pushed to the side, and this included, okay, those that survived are gonna have the "we told you so," and now we're gonna have to watch you go into this psychiatry that we know not works, but you don't want to listen. Go into this welfare that we know is going to kidnap your children, but you didn't want to listen. You set them up to be in one line, and that one line is going to the gas chambers. Also with astrology, also with relationship coaching, you set people up to say, well, you can't fully surrender, you always have to be mysterious, you always have to that, you always have to that. Well, if you can't have, if you're sexual, both of you can't have sensuality, where you have this union, where you have this trust, when you have this, your entire nervous system of the connection not good, the wealth system not good, family unit not good, marriage goes puff, and then the disagreements, okay, the divorce, Uranus, you're gonna get a consultant, you're even gonna get an astrologer, you're gonna get a certified astrologer, which basically means they had to strip themselves off of any intuition to get certified, because that's how it works. And they can't move from this point to that point, because otherwise they're gonna lose the license. But they can't innovate, and your lawyer is blackmailing you, and their lawyer is blackmailing them. When I tell you, you're going to have not one estate, 2 estates, and space between them. How can children grow like this? Well, they're going to grow like this when you're married, because you're going to divorce. How do you expect for the children to have housing if you don't start with at least 2 estates? It has reason, it has logic. Who can dream about more than a bathroom with a shower, with a salon, all in 1/4 meter in New York? But we have a house in New York. The air is yellow, but we have a house in New York. And if you didn't live in New York, you are less of a person. Immediately, I think less of you. And I have to say, I was this month years old when I discovered that Feynman's accent was actually New York accent. It's a very beautiful accent. It's a very calming accent. I don't have this accent. It's a very beautiful accent. But a dead person with a beautiful accent is not going to be able to raise children that have good life. New York was designed for people that have drivers. It's not designed for you to live in one condo and take the subway everywhere. Okay? Only Giuliani managed to reduce a little bit the crime rates. Who knows how many children he had to rape to do that, to get the extortion correct so it's protected. Allegedly. Okay, structurally. I live in a village That's the greatest territorial city in Israel. Reduced crime rates. What, you think the mayor is not paying protection? Of course it does. That's why it gets reelected. Who knows how much protection city of Beersheba had to be to get the security there. It's like, yeah, you're going to get protection, but then it's going to be a ghetto. That we have the cameras and everything. Municipality. Now, if you don't teach your children that, and you're not to blame that you don't teach your children that, you think, oh, they need to learn because they teach you wrong things on purpose. You say, oh, we need an impulse control. What are you in North Korea? Impulse has an underlying mechanism, but you need to know a little bit of physics to get to understand that. But if the mayor raped your daughter, they would talk about momentum all day long. Couldn't stop the momentum. Even Abraham Hicks said he couldn't stop the momentum. But if your daughter assassinated him, nobody talks about momentum. You gotta teach children to have impulse control. The young. Now that if you manage to go this far, and I probably pissed you off a lot, because everybody gets pissed off when I say that, especially if they got an apartment, they got a this. I had a very, very inspiring teacher for aromatherapy. They went through a whole process. They went from big minus, big this, big debt to buying a house alone, woman alone, very inspiring. They began to lose the hair on their head. And I ask myself, very humble, how does the person manage to buy a house and keeping all their hairs on their head? They were holistic health practitioners, okay? So they were doing everything right. And if they were making bad choices, of course, they got a house, like now you got a mortgage. Whenever they were building the kitchen, everybody asked, so you guys, like, no. It's one woman buying a house. How you think her practicing is going to go when she has to pay the mortgage? And she lives in a city that's becoming a ghetto. Now what, to sell the property, where to move? Till they found the property and they found the house and they made the deal, which takes time to make the deal, to close the deal, for you to be the person, if it's a good property. But I don't look at that. I look at my makler. I got 100 estates. I live in his house, the house that he built for his family. He doesn't even know that I know that. But I read energy. And then first I read energy, and then I was told that it was his house. My neighbor doesn't even know that. I know that. Well, it's the biggest city. Come the house cartels. They begin to come, the house cartels. What's 100 estates? It's nothing. They try. You know how many troubles I have as a tenant. A tenant. Okay? I didn't understand what the fuck is going on. So many people changed before I came here. That's how I got the property. Okay, that's how I got to be a tenant. Because so many people changed before I came here. It was like, okay, you and your welfare can stay here. You can do whatever you want, just to pay. Okay? For so many people, bus drivers beginning to tell me for my address. Harassment here, harassment. I didn't understand until I got it, and actually accidentally I got it, because I listen to tarot readers a lot, in Neptunian, and God reading this said is try to understand what's going on. Well, basically to start working in a particular way. If you got some estates, please listen. If your tenant, also listen, this is power. They would give tenants, and the tenant kid can be extorted person, can be, I don't know, homeless, but I don't know. They're gonna look good. They're gonna have credentials, they're gonna have everything. Then you wake up and see that they've been doing that in Netherlands. You wake up one day, the entire house is ruined. Then it's gone. Now, what are you gonna do? Renovate, or you're gonna sell the property? They would love to buy your property. And that's how they roll. What's 100 estates? And they've been trying to do this to my makler. He doesn't even know that I know. Because I tend to real estate. I tend to not just my issue, I tend to real estate in general. So I make moves. And they've been trying to do this to this estate. And I can't understand why. And he doesn't even know the many things I fought, the many fights I fought as a tenant. Now what happened? I began to invest in this estate as a tenant, like I would invest if the house was mine. What you think is gonna happen? Whether with this estate or with another estate, what you think is gonna happen? Okay. I talked about the real estate frauds and the house flipping in other videos. People take loans to buy estate, thinking that somebody will pay that for the tenant. Now, when Kawasaki, rich dad, poor dad, does it, he does it through the trust, which works on snuffed children. So that's how he trusts the trust. It's extortion. His money doesn't change any, and you won't see this money changing hands, because people write the apartments on their children. Because they can't stand the bureaucracy. Many parents do that. My parents told to do this. I said I can't. Unless you want me to make decisions for this. It was the car. It was old car. I don't have driving license. I want to buy the car over my name. If I'm going to need help, which I did need, is eventually, I won't be able to get help. I had to tell my parents, no, you can't ride that car on me because I am not able to stand on my own 2 feet and support you. A parent costs less than a child. How come 2008, 2010? So I work in the best of jobs that you could get without the proper education. Diapers every day. I don't have to change your entire clothesline and shoe line every couple of months. You like to travel, you would eat a snack, like it is, and you still got your own savings. Why would I not be able to support you to sit still, or you invested in me to sit still, to sit pretty, and the child if I would want to. If I'm successful, and I'm successful, how come I can't afford that? If I get the best jobs, if I make a big impression, if I get the boot upstairs, how come I can't afford that? It's not because I'm a woman. Men in similar situation. There is gender gap, blah, blah, blah. Not because whenever I walked out, there was an insurance company that had to hire 3 women instead of me and pay each one of them more than they paid me. It's not because I'm that competent. They were saving on employees, and then they saw it doesn't work, so they changed the course of action. Okay? It's very simple. Half European in Europe have to be good enough. It's not about being an overachiever. You have to do the job good enough is good enough. Leaving Prime Minister, Mark Rutte said I was maybe 6.5 grade I would give to my cadency, entire 20 years, 2 decades. Now he's head of NATO. Stay humble. It's okay. But if I can't, with my humble job and the fact that I did get to the places, support me and another person, then why am I going to work? And I'm investing energy and time on something that doesn't even yield the basis that will later give me the vacation and the place where I can do something creative and then maybe allocate time. If you think we're different than 2008, we're not. We're going through the same thing again. And if you set your children up to not accommodate for these parameters, you're not to blame. But also look around. And the people you've been pushing away, talk to the homeless person in the street. They may know more about economy than you dare to ask yourself. They might be a whistleblower of some bank. You gotta talk to people. You got the communication skill. That's why you have a job. Use it. I had a conversation with a new employee at the central station. Very generous man. And he says to me, I am new. The one thing that could break me is if I cannot give service to people correctly. I told them, you better watch out. His days here, not many. Then he starts talking to me, exposing for the corruption that he already saw in this very short period in the time. Then there's a problem with my ticket. And as we begin to work on it, another person comes in. They can't help them. They can barely help me, and in a way that I have to give up because I got to choose my battles. And it's transportation, public transportation, mind. Then we talk about creativity. He said, yeah, my son was creative when his mother was alive or when she had the money. Then she gave him the money, everything okay. But I said, you must break through. You must sell art because otherwise who will be able to support you? Well, he was trying to do this Saturn thing. It's like, yeah, be creative, be this, but let's do something. And I said to him, listen, if we can't tend to the corruption that happens around art and around the financial system, how your son going to sell their work? What else they have to sell to be a part of these secret societies? They didn't want to listen. And as we speak, see, he can't help this person, he can't help that person. Say, you see, you told me that what will break you is you cannot help the people in your job. Look what happens. And he was very pissed about the people that sit on welfare. Why can't you work? Why can't you this? Why can't you that? I said, no, it's the medicine, it's our bodies. We got to do something creative. We got to change the system. We got to change for this. Because it's our well-being and our lives. And it's our creative endeavors. It's our economy. And when I'm just like you, if I can't help people provide for good value, then this ruins my soul. Ruins the sense of meaning and purpose. And I'm sick. It costs more. I'm literally getting paid not to work because it costs more to hire me than it costs not to hire me. Our bodies are very, very intelligent. Okay, what's the Gen Zers? The Gen Zers are simply the result of the toxins that we put inside them, whether it's the lead, whatever, whatever these things, and you put them into the vaccines, then you get neurotoxicity. Neurotoxicity, one of the possible bifurcation of it's not going to happen to any person, but one to every person. But one of the bifurcation of neurotoxicity is neurodivergence, what we call autism. Very simple. If you got toxic in your brain, it can bifurcate it. It doesn't happen one-to-one because it's a nonlinear system. This is also why you don't have criteria for mental ailment, neurodegenerative ailment, neurological diseases, and autism, because it is a system that has bifurcation. It's a dynamic system, and this is why one patient doesn't look the same throughout occasions. Even physical disability, there are people that can need a wheelchair one day and can walk the other day because a nervous system is non-linear system. You don't know that, you don't know anything about disability. And then if you set your children up to think that disability is an excuse, is laziness, is this, is that, okay. And then what, they're going to kill their entire family? Or let them be trafficked, which is another horror. Reaching all the way through to the situation where parents sell their children. I've known activists that the mother was trafficking the child. And the mother also. Because people that I know that I've communicated with, not just somebody I heard a podcast or this or that. You think you can outdo that with just like you save $1, you charge $1, you charge this, you charge that. You are misleading the children. And this is causing havoc in society. But when you tend to that, you start moving the energy around. You start changing that because they are reliant on we the people not knowing that. And then once people wake up a little bit, they say, oh, this person is pedophile, or this person is pedophile, or this person is pedophile. Okay, let's kill them all. Let's jail them all. For the Supreme Court is pedophile. Oh, everyone pedophile. Okay, let's ruin the entire system. Okay, fine. How are you going to generate a system that's not based on extortion? This is what we need to tend to. And it starts by stop excusing yourself when you see a person that sits there, minds their own business, not necessarily even asking anything for you. And you're like, why are they not working hard like I am? Why are they not contributing? Why are they not? Have a conversation. And if you can't hear them, okay, take space, but at least set intention. There's something here that's different to what your mindset is used to, and it may be your routinely hard work that harms your nervous system, especially if you go to the work in the same route every day, that harms your nervous system, so you're not even open to the flexibility, and that harms your body, and you don't even know that your doctor both doesn't know and cannot give you the correct healing for your diseases. Do you know what I read just yet? That they say that to be exposed to other people experiencing trauma, let's say somebody breaks and murders your children, so to see them murdered is growing resilience in you. Scientific, these things get published in Science, in Nature, in peer-reviewed, okay, in Q1s. When Richard Feynman talked about cult-like sciences, that's what he meant. It's not because the method is wrong. It's because when a top frontier article about remission in terminal ill cancer patient is about to be published, budget for the research stops, and the people that were life was saved go back to die. And that treatment was not chemotherapy, not torturous. You don't know that. Who will tell you that? A shadow banned account on YouTube. So what do you know about economy that you have the right to think that somebody that goes against your own grain is being lazy, is making excuses, is living on your account? You are living on our jobs and our budgets for pioneering research that you keep allowing to not have, where you could be part of this, while we are having to see, oh, that person did not take only 2 bites from this meal. We're going to take this meal. We're going to eat some salad or some this. And I don't tell you you live on my account. But the very least, get out of this horrid, constricted vision to set your children to line up, to go to the same evacuation buses when your city is on fire, from the government that puts this terror on your city. And think your child imagines when they finally begin to let out and say something weird that sounds like they're psychotic. They're not psychotic. They're in bad environment. You have to give them housing first, and you have to give them validation so that they can have access to choice. If you're not informed, you don't have a choice. But I also give you power when you know this now, because all the choices that you made when you were not informed are canceled because you do not consent. And you did not consent, and no law can enforce you. That entire juristic system in the United States, at least, is based on stuff like the Maritime Law, or the corporation law. When you have a driving license, you sign your rights out, then you can be drafted to the army, then you can be deprived of your possessions, that you can be hurt physically, which means they can do medical experiments with you. And you're told that you signed this. You're not told because you don't even know that you signed this. But you're not told that if nobody presented this to you, went with you, this is what it means. These are possible implications. If there is implications that I didn't mention here, all of what you signed is canceled. Because you did not consent. And I cannot sign you for something you did not consent. And it's not up to you to read this. It's up to me to explain to you what you're signing on. That's consent. Willing consent is not about ruining people's reputation. It's about the work of nature to allow flow of wealth, of money, of generation, of healthy infants, if you have them, of growth population that is sensitive to the environment, so that you don't overgrow as population, you don't undergrow as population, is all natural occurrence. What I taught you now, if you listened by now, you have a 4 on most of American citizens, at least, towards the upcoming times, let's say. So it was worth listening. Now I'll see you in another video.